Good morning, Dan and Amy. And we interviewed last week Bob Fioretti, Chicago alderman, who has announced his candidacy against Queen Sugar for Cook County Board president. And then yesterday,
the big bombshell.
lo and behold, I ran Tony Paraka's campaign against Todd Stroger for Cook County Board president in 2006.
You did?
I was there. I was there the night for that. There was all kinds of curious reporting of vote tallies from certain wards in the city and the bowels of Cook County,
I was
fighting
there
it
too.
out. Yeah,
We took it to the streets. Remember, we went to the
That's
county
correct. Yeah.
building, and then people got a little handsy, and I got a bruise on my arm.
We walked from the Hotel
Yep.
Intercontinental, where we're having the election night party, to the Cook County building. That's right. And
That was fun.
I got to tell you, so. And that was the closest a Republican has come for Cook County Board president since I think Ogilvie won it in '66, 66. And my interactions, I've had interactions with Todd Stroger over the years, and you know what? He's a really likable guy. I actually really like him. I think he's a good family man. We just disagree on policy choices and party affiliation. So, I wish him well, and we're going to find out why he's decided to re-enter the arena as he joins us now. Todd Stroger, thanks so much for being with us. Appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure, Dan and Amy. And, yeah, what a good question. Why would you go back out to be mauled by the lions, huh?
Yes, exactly. So why don't you answer the question you've posed to yourself?
Okay. Well, to be honest with you, Dan, I'm sure you remember because, like you said, you were right involved in that whole election. The county board, and I don't mind saying the county board has made some bad decisions, and I mean the commissioners this time. It has nothing to do with any of the presidents. The first one was when they gave all the employees raises in 2006 as their budget director told them that there was no money for it. And the second one was when they said, all right, we're going to start repealing the 1-cent sales tax, and really just kind of dismantled how the government was running at the time. So, I've seen both those things. When I was in office, I wanted to just tout myself by saying that I looked very hard at what was going on. We got outside help, and we were able to balance the budget. We didn't make any great, enormous things that would be burdensome to our constituents. And I must have done something right, Dan, because I got everybody mad at me.
Well,
the first time around, we cut $500 million out of the budget without raising the tax. All the unions got mad at me. And the next year when we said, we're going to have revenue or we won't even be able to run the government, then the rest of the world got mad at me. So it still worked out. It worked out in the sense that things kept going. I was starting to make changes in the government. And then, I was out.
So you ran, when you were Cook County Board president for 4 years, you ran a budget in the black.
Yes, I did.
Okay. So what made you, because
Wow.
I know that you were going to run for a water reclamation district, and some of the people that you were asking to sign your petition, they wanted more from you. Can you explain?
Yes. So I was, I'm only 54, so I'm still young.
Amy's
and
age.
With a young family. And, I have some skills, and one thing that I do enjoy is I do enjoy doing things that will help people. I enjoy government, which I think government
Wait a second. I thought you said you enjoy doing things that will help people, and then you said you enjoy government. Those two things are mutually exclusive, aren't they?
Well, Dan, if we didn't have government, what we have? We have chaos.
Yeah.
So
what do we got now?
What do we?
We have. This is called organized chaos.
I see. I see the difference. Okay.
Yes. So I was out and I was asking people, and the people who were helping me were asking people to sign, and they were very happy to sign. But they always ask the same question, and people have been asking me that for probably the last 4 years. Why aren't you running for a county board president? And I heard that so much, I was like, there must be something to this. I called some people, and they say, look, I think it's a good idea. just have to make your case that you were a good manager of the county, and we'll see how things work.
Well, as Cook County Board President, you were really pilloried by, as you said, all sides, including the editorial boards, which, oh, by the way, lean pretty sympathetic towards the Democrats in this city and state. And
not my favorite one, the Tribune, which had a clock on.
well, right, but yeah, that's true, but they're still pretty liberal, and they've been very very charitable to Tony Preckwinkle and Tiny Dancer, at least in the first several years of their respective terms. Maybe that's changed a little bit of late. But how do you put it together to reintroduce yourself, per what people remember from your tenure with the sales tax increase and also, frankly, being taken out by your own party?
Yes, well, what a race is about, especially when there's an incumbent, is you compare yourself to the person who is in charge at the moment. And to be honest with you, Tony Preckwinkle has been dishonest to us ever since he got there. When she ran against me on that sales tax, there was a lot of bluster about how the sales tax was no good and we didn't need it. And she got in there. Well, first the county board took a quarter off, then she took a quarter off with the cry that she was going to take the rest of it. And a year in, they're like, wait a minute, that sales tax made all the sense in the world. She brought it back.
Mm-hmm.
This last few months, as you've seen this debacle with the soda tax, she came out and told us that we're going to stop people from being fat and have diabetes.
Yeah.
And then 3 months later, she had to say, okay, I was just kidding. It's really about revenue. I need the money. I think you need a leader who's going to be honest with you. Maybe I was too honest because I tried to tell people that this is about the system that we already have in place, which is health care and public safety. That's really the only two things the county does, because that's more than 90% of the budget. And that is the essentials. If we don't keep that going, we're all in trouble.
One of the other things I think is refreshing to hear from politicians, or at least would theoretically be refreshing to hear from politicians because you never hear it, is a little reflection on their time in office and things that they would have done differently, mistakes that they made that they've learned from. And it's always, sort of like, I kind of abstract and general and cliched. I mean, is there anything I would suggest that there were some, huge strategic errors that you made as Cook County Board President. And I wonder if you reflect back on your time and your tenure there and you say, boy, if I had to do it over again, I'd do something major differently.
Oh, shoot. Yes, you can bet that. I probably said that once a month in the last 7 years. And part of it would be being out in the public more. When I took that job, I went in there and I got in that office and I was like, come on, let's make this county work the way it needs to be. And we just kind of hunkered down in the office. And my thought was, I remember telling my chief of staff, we're going to make this run like a perfect machine.
Yeah, but what about policy decisions, not marketing?
People will see that, and they will say, all right, they're doing a good job. But it's more than that. You not only have to run a good ship, you have to be able to get out and tell people how it's running, why it's running, and what it gives them.
You also have to watch, who you surround yourself with. I mean, your former top aide, Carla Oglesby, ended up going to prison for theft and money laundering.
And Gene Mullins.
So,
yes,
got to properly vet people.
Sometimes you hire people. Well, you always hire them for the reason that you think they're capable of doing the job, and that they will do the best for you and themselves. They'll see you as someone they don't want to fail. But sometimes that doesn't work, and this is not the first government. Now, to be honest with you, I've seen all the governments, and as president, I know when things went bad in other places in the county, and it happens. Now I won't say often, but there's people who feel like they can get over the system, which I never understood. There's always a paper trail.
Is your candidacy? I mean, people are going to say this, thinking about the politics of this. Is your candidacy really a way to try and aid Bob Fioretti by splitting the black vote with Tony Preckwinkle?
No. I know Bob. I like Bob, but Bob's he's on his own. I don't. I can't run for a single office with somebody else. So Bob's going to have to explain himself, and I will explain my positions, and people will choose, and that's all I can ask for.
And
I've done a good job.
What's the one big idea that's going to be the centerpiece of a Todd Stroger campaign for Cook County Board President? The one, elections are prospective. It's you can try and recast your time as Cook County Board President, but they're about the future and what you're going to do, prospective. So what's the one big idea that's going to be central to your campaign?
Well, it's really early. I mean, this has only been a week for me. I don't have a big idea that's going to make everything right. And to be honest with you, Dan, generally when people have those big ideas that are supposed to make the whole world right, they tend not to work. When I was in the county, they kept on telling me, do something big, like the mayor that'll get a lot of attention, sell something, tell off one of the buildings or something like that.
Or reform pensions, or how about something like that?
Well, I didn't have that ability. But
Yes.
You made a good point there. I think one of the things that we need to do as leaders is we have to be more vocal. We have to stand up and say, look, part of our problem is the state's not doing anything, and some of the things that they can do would take pressure off of all the municipalities in Illinois. I know you guys don't like taxes, but occasionally you have to raise some revenue. And if they did certain things, like one of the things I'm saying is we have to take a really look at marijuana, legalizing marijuana. And that would help everybody in the state instead of us trying to
numb the pain.
And the city has one tax here, and then the county has to do a tax, and the park district does a tax. That kills people.
What about on the spending side? 15% of county employees make more than $100,000, and those sorts of things. Anything on the spending side?
Well, when I was the president the first time and we were making those cuts, people were complaining about departments that they didn't want to see go. But to be honest with you, the county will not be able to do everything under the sun. And there's probably going to be a few things that have to go that help a small number of people, but it's not really the core of whatever department that will be cut actually does.
Okay. He is Todd Stroger. He is a candidate again in the Democrat primary for Cook County Board President. Todd, thanks for joining us. Good luck on the campaign. We'll talk to you again soon.
All right. Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Yeah, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's like a